Okay, hello. Good day, everybody. Today is a nice day for a short stream. Will be a little bit shorter because I will have to go to bed in approximately 2 hours. But 2 hours is a lot of time to use for programming. So let's start. So last time we have worked on making new text fonts for custom damage output. We showed the player, if he does damage, how much damage is done, and we programmed an automatic text with the amount of damage that he has been done to the enemy. It pops up and shows you exactly what is happening, how much damage do I do with each attack. And the enemy also now has display how much damage do they actually do. You don't have to look at your health anymore every time, and you can just look at the middle of the screen and see that look at the number that pops up, and you know how much damage has been done to you. Also, healing is now displayed. When the stream was offline, I started working on an option. I will just show it what I'm talking about right now. I was working on improving that feature to have an option to just turn it off or on, because if you don't want to display how much damage is done, if you say it's against my immersion, I don't want to see these numbers. Okay, just hop into the game. You see there's numbers popping up, and I'm hit. And I'm healing. And when I deal damage. Nice. Now we have an option. Display damage and healing as a number. When I click this toggle, now damage should be displayed. And it seems to be working just fine. Now healing is displayed. This is also saved in the global variables, which is very important because the global variables are carried over to the next level. And I've also worked on the saving function, so it's currently saved in the player prefabs. So if you use this toggle, I will set it on to on, because I actually will need this for testing. This will be saved in my player prefabs, and if I restart the game, whatever I've done here will be reloaded, and we're done. This feature now is finished, and we don't have to worry about this. Now I've started a new ability, which is going to be the first ability that the player is going to choose from level 1. Now the problem with the current game is you start the game and you get this magic attack from the start. I'm going to show it right now, which ability I'm talking about. It's just a projectile that flies away, a basic attack, just to have your basic attack to attack enemies, like here. You see this? This is the level 1 ability. Now the problem with the current game is that the hook at the start of the game is not strong enough. The player is not hooked into the game, which is the most important thing to do at the first 5 minutes of your game, to really hook in the player, because he will finish the game. If your first 5 minutes are very good, it's more likely that your player is going to finish the game. And this is why we are going to actually change this ability, which seems unnecessary at first, but it makes sense from the hook perspective, just to have the first ability that the player can get. To have this to be a player choice and not to be just, this is your first attack and you have to use it now. You don't have a choice. This is the game mechanics, and deal with it. And by giving the player the first choice, like how do I want to attack the enemy, with my basic attack, which is a very, very big and important choice at level 1, we give the player the feeling that he's in control. And this is very important. So what's happening? What's happening is we got a new skill. As I named this skill 0. And you can see here skill 0 has 2 choices, choice 1 and choice 2. Now choice 1 is going to be our default attack, which we have now. And he's going to be able to pick one of those. And the second choice is going to be the skill that we are doing now, because it's not actually in the code. We have to code this right now. And give the player a second choice for his basic attack to have the ability to attack the enemy with a different kind of attack. And I've talked a lot about this, like this first attack that we have now is so basic. It's really hard to come up with a second ability that is weak. It has to be weak because this is a level 1 ability and you get so many different abilities later. But this ability cannot be very fancy strong. I talked about an ability that pushes you back, like you have a boost and then you can maybe do some special jumps, but felt like this was too strong for the level 0 ability, a skill 0 ability. Just as a basic ability would be maybe nice to have, but I felt if you get pushed away every time you attack with your basic attack, it can also get a little bit annoying for the player if he doesn't want this and he has no control about this. When he picked this ability, but then this ability should not suck too much in certain situations, because this can also get you into trouble if the first ability you get pushes you forward into traps or backwards into enemies that you don't want to engage right now. So I skipped the thought about getting pushed into enemies. So no pushing forward, no pushing backward, because there's also more abilities that already do this. So you would have this as a double choice, and it kind of felt over the top to have too many abilities that push you. So I skipped that, and then I was thinking about a beam attack, like a beam that you would just charge and damage your enemy with, in the end, exactly the same damage output as your normal attack. And I thought that would be hard to aim, because you have to even if this beam is very fast, like to have to for 1 second aim at the same enemy while you're moving. With a basic ability that does not even do that much damage, I feel that's not very rewarding for the player. It's more annoying. Like you have an attack and you have to keep in mind, you have this attack for the first levels. This is I think in the first 2 levels you don't have a different choice. You have the first level and then you have a boss fight, a skippable boss fight, I have to say, but still you could use this in a boss fight, and it wouldn't be a fun ability, to be honest. So I skipped also that thought, and then I thought back in time when I was playing Hexen. And there's a basic ability for the mage there. He has a staff, and with this staff he has a very basic ability, which is just a hit scan to the enemy that you see, and yeah, you would just spam this attack, and you immediately hit. It did not much damage. And also, it was a very good first attack just to weaken some of the weaker enemies and have a fallback option. I'm going to Google it right now on my second monitor going to show it for a short amount of time. So just to clarify where this idea comes from. Okay, here's a video where we can see the attack of the mage in Hitscan. This is part of the inspiration. Developers draw their inspiration from a dozen of things that they have played and that they feel nice about. And I'm going to turn on the sound here, so you can get a feel for this attack. Okay, this is the attack that we want to emulate in our game. So just a very basic attack. You see he needs five attacks for this basic enemy. This is really a very basic enemy in Hitscan, and it does not cost a lot, and you have to spam this attack. So now I thought, how do I implement this? Because there's one big challenge in the game. Every time you attack, it will cost you 5 health. So the first thing is, of course, if you have such a weak attack that you need to spam, that with a cost of 5 health, you're not going to be trading cost efficiently, because 5 health of your player character is worth more than let's say 25 attack damage to basic enemy types. It would not be a good trade, especially if the other attack that you have does 50 damage for 5, for basically the same cost 5. The basic attack you have now does 50 damage for 5 health costs. If we add an Hitscan attack, cannot do the same damage, it cannot do 50 damage, because it's a Hitscan, it's faster, it's easier to hit. You cannot make the game easier. Yet again, I cannot lower the cost of the blood of the health, because if I would lower the cost, first of all, every attack there's different updates to your blood magic later. And these updates build upon the balancing that it costs 5 health. This is really important in the game. And so you could probably make the cost to 3. It's not impossible, but I don't like this idea just to have this attack cost 3 health and then you have to spam it. Or 2 health. So in both cases, you would also be either trading better than with the normal projectile, or worse. And I don't want this. I want to do the same damage for 5 health points. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do is we are going to implement an attack. Hitscan attack like this. A Hitscan attack like this for 5 blood points, it will do 25 damage. And then for 3, you will do a second Hitscan attack after that with a delay. So not a big delay, but a delay nonetheless. So you will do 2 attacks, both do 25 damage, and both will be Hitscans. You will do the same damage for us with your basic projectile. And yeah, that's pretty, so you have a pretty nice balance. The challenge here is you have to really aim your second attack to still hit, and it's not easy to aim hit scan with a delay. First off, when you have a hit scan, you it's CSGO for example, you just click on an enemy head, you attack him, you shoot, and he's immediately going to receive the damage. It's easy. But there's also certain weapon types that when you click your revolver, the revolver spins first, and then you will do a shot attack. It's also in CSGO, and then you will hit the enemy, and it's really a completely different feeling, a skill issue to hit the enemy. So this is why why I thought this idea of having just 2 hit scan attacks with one trigger is maybe a nice idea. You have one very fast hit scan, it does 25 damage. The second one, you still do 25 damage, so you do 50 in total. You have to aim it a little bit, so it's not easy. And you can do the same total damage as with your normal attack, the other projectile attack. So I think this is very fair. And I have also prepared yesterday a lot to do the stream. I don't know if we are going to finish this. Maybe we're going to code this very deep in the night. I hope not too much, because I have to work tomorrow. But the thing is, first I had to set up this the skill here for the player. Now this player is a little bit, player script is, let me put it simple, it's pretty much overloaded. Like, this is not a good player script, but this was one of my first projects I was coding for, and we have to live with this, and we totally can. I've improved the script and code quality already a lot, and so we still have something to work with. Skill 0 choice here, this is choice 1. Choice 2 is going to be the hit scan attack. Also need to add this skill 0, into the global variables, because if we see this skill, we need to be able to look it up later. We have in the options, we have later a skill tree where we can look up every skill that we have picked, and there we can look at every option that is available, maybe make a plan for our next playthrough, and we can look up what abilities did we actually pick, and what do they do. If we have forgotten, and this game has right now with this skill, it will be 28 unique skills, and every skill is pretty powerful right now. So there's only maybe 6 abilities that are just stat increases. Every other skill is like really powerful, where you basically can change your whole playstyle with. And this is kind of the idea of this game. So we needed to set up this in the global variables. There's also in the global variables this thing called skill text. Actually, this is a skill info. I cannot change it right now because some classes are depending on the game object name. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to name this text then, but I could change it right now, but I don't think it's a good idea to do in the stream. And then inside of the skill 0 that I had to set up, there's 2 clips. These clips are not set up yet. These are going to be recorded later when I've programmed the skills. And if you pick the skill, you actually can look, watch a small video where you can see what the ability really does. There's a text. In the previous release, there's just a text, and you can read the text and try to understand what the ability does. And I thought it would just be better if you have a clip show what the ability does, and it works just so much better than just a plain text to explain what the player does. So this is it. There's 2 clips that are not set up yet. These are skill 1 videos, and we have to replace these later, but we don't have the ability yet, so we don't bother to record a new video yet. So, and there we have a description, and this description is also global because we can pick a power up, and then we will have this description: shoot a magic projectile, cast an instant attack which deals small amounts of damage, but maybe twice. And also have a German option here. Maybe going to change this later, because a little bit just vote twice. But I'm going to code it first, and maybe I will decide to still change it. But the plan is to have a double attack with the Raycast. So, and the last thing that we will also have to set up new is an image. An image, if you pick the ability, this is also a global variable, and this image is also really used in the skill tree. If you look up later in the skill tree what we have picked up, we have to use the same image as when we picked up the ability in the game. So what I'm talking about, I will show you. I've set up the pickup for the new ability already. So this is the current menu for picking up abilities, and you see both options have an image and a description. So I actually don't like the border of this description too much. I think I'm going to change the UI of this later because it looks a little bit outdated. And when I pick this button here, don't bother about the black border. For some reason the universal rendering pipeline doesn't render this white. This black outline here is transparent. In the finished build, I was very surprised that in the finished build this is actually transparent like it should be, but I think the universal pipeline is kind of confused because it's an UI element and it expects this material to be in the world or something. I think it's something like yeah, it doesn't render the UI correctly in the editor mode. So the editor mode and the build mode can be very different. You have to always check both. If so there are some certain errors that don't occur in your build that can occur in the editor and vice versa, which is not really helpful for debugging your game. But well, we have to live with it. So when I want to pick one ability, this will be the ability that we want to pick, the Hitscan cast. And now we are going to have a video. Now this is not the video that is going to be displayed. This is another ability. And then I'm going to use choose skill. Now, player character, let's check this, should have picked skill choice 02. He hasn't. He has picked skill choice 12. I guess this is a code error. I think I've forgotten to set this up. But let's look at the global variables. If skill 0 is not. Oh, I've set this up before. Okay. Now we have to look up the pickup. The pickup, this is right here is the pickup. Grab this object and look up in the code of the listener. So when you go into this area, you will in the end trigger this code, and these are the options, the methods that are going to be set to be called when you pick the ability. And actually looks like it's in the right ability. Now skill 0. Okay. I think these are set so they set up automatically. I think they set up automatically. Might be not counting right. Look at this. Want to look at what, yeah, so he actually set skill choice 1 2 to true, but we wanted skill 0 to set to true. We have to find out the reason now. So this one, skill 0 right, looks all right. 0 choice 2. Okay. Try again, and this time I want to set these two, skill 0 noun and skill 1 noun, in the global variables to false. So we will actually know which method he actually picked. So it might be that he is counting from 1. So picks skill 1. Might be some kind of this issue. Look it up. So choose a skill and look at the skill 1 noun. I think it's a simple counting issue. So player character, skill 1 2. Okay. So what actually happened is he's supposed to set up this skill 0 and actually set up I think he used this function right here. Would pretty much confirm this. And I can debug this to be sure. You can also to be sure mark this, so you and then attach the your coding editor to Unity, which we are not going to do right now, but you can attach the coding editor to Unity and then Unity will actually stop this if Unity reaches this line of code. And the advantage is that you can then look what he is actually doing. This is very useful if you pick up, if you call some certain functions, and then you can read what is actual in the variables, which is very, very useful. But in our case, I don't see an advantage of that right now. We're just going to walk to the pickup and call it again. Okay. Function called, okay. So, it's calling the wrong function. Will 0. Okay. I see what happens here. So what I was doing. Okay. Oh, this is such a horrible code. Oh no. So what I'm doing right here is I have 13 cases. 13 cases for the function. They are just else if statements. Else if skill equals this, skill equals 6, 7, 8, 9, and what you actually, and we will do this right now because this is horrible code. I don't know what I was thinking. What you actually want to do in this case is you want to write a switch. This is garbage. This is garbage what I did here. Absolutely, if you ever do this, don't be mad at if anyone tells you that this is garbage, because it absolutely is. So what we actually want to do is now want to put every else if case and put them into case statements. So since we need 13, I'm going to paste this 13 times. Or maybe I think it would be faster if we copy all these statements and then you look a step one time, then make them into cases. Well, this one break. This two. So sometimes cleaning up your own code is taking a lot of time, but believe me, it's absolutely worth it. It's absolutely worth it, because later if you read this, or if somebody else reads this, if what's very important, teamwork is very important, people are going to thank you very much. You're going to thank yourself, actually. With the brackets. Okay. Now, if I would do this again, I would maybe even try to put the methods in some kind of list and then just go through them. I think that would be the right way to do this. Yeah, pretty much. And then just iterate through them, so you don't have to specify for every case which method you want to use. Oh, now I will remember also why I did this the way I did, because this is a function, and I think you have to specifically tell the editor, tell in your code which function you are going to call. This was why I did this weird way. Maybe could have, with my current knowledge, maybe I could have found a better solution. Because the code actually does not do anything fancy things. Default. Okay, this looks much better. And we can now delete all these terrible if-else statements. So this is a little bit easier to read, more intuitive. And now the thing is about the skill choices of this. Yeah, they all specific variables in the global variables player, and I actually did not know how to set them up in a list. I think today you could set these up in a list and then just iterate through them, and have have some kind of data structure where you can just iterate through them. Maybe a struct would be a good choice, because in the struct you would just save these to variables, and if you need them, set them to true, and do your skill choice finished. Okay, let's try this out. Maybe I have fixed everything now, or maybe this will be a problem. Let's see. Hopefully we don't have built another bug to fix. Okay, let's look it up. Okay, skill 0, choice 2 looks good. The global variables, skill 0 is now known. Good. So we are now prepared to make our function for our new attack. So where do we call this attack? Previously, the player character is going to initialize himself, and I won't go through all the script right now because it's just too much. I want to go to this function right here. This is the input evaluation, and we have a bool which can be true, just blood magic, and this evaluate input is called from another class, which is going to evaluate the input of the player and decide which input in which situation is valid and which not. For example, if I'm casting blood magic, I cannot bite at the same time. If I'm crouching, and I have a roof over the top, I cannot jump. It's actually coded that you cannot jump if you have a roof over your top. Doesn't make any sense to even allow the player to do this, because there's just plenty of bugs that could happen if you could. And this blood magic boolean going to this if-else statement, where it is evaluated if it is allowed to fire. There's also an evaluation inside of the player character, where if you have certain skills, this will actually trigger different modes. But what we care about is this function. This is the attack function. Ein numerator, a coroutine where this is a coroutine because it takes some time to cast everything, and you never want to have attacks to be instant, because if you would have instant attacks, you press the button, instant attack, no cooldown, you could spam your buttons and just do infinite amounts of damage. So this is actually routine. Can you please show me this routine? Thank you. Okay, now we have this routine, fire. And we have an integer for type, which is maybe not the best idea. Type 0 is the standard attack, and type 1 is charge attack. So this is why we need to have a different type for these two attacks. If you do a charge attack, the character will wait for a little bit, and you can until you release the blood magic button. Then you have a charge attack which will do a lot of damage. What we care about is type 0. Standard attack will be type 0. You just press your button, and there's a skill choice where you don't lose 5 health. This is what I'm talking about, why I don't like to have different health options, to different health costs than 5. It's just not very nice. Let's put it like this. If I would have options to have sometimes 3 health costs, sometimes 5, would be a little bit messy in the code, and also for the player maybe a little bit confusing when he loses what. And also I didn't like the idea. It was a little bit too dull. If you just would have a Raycast, it would do 3 damage to you every time. It felt a little bit too simple. So what do we actually want now? We want to look if it's not some kind of special attack. This is the default attack. We want to look up if we have skill 01 or skill 02, which are 2 different cases. And I have to think for a moment. Okay. In this case, when there's no special attack equipped, which is going to override our attack, this will not be the standard attack. It will be a special attack which will do more damage. But if this is not the case, then we want to check skill 0, 1 or skill 0, 2. Yeah. Then set up our so think of for a moment what this does. First, we will have an animation name. We still have to do this animation where you shoot your new attack. This is German Blutmagie, means blood magic. Maybe not a good idea to have German names when I actually work in English all the time. We'll learn from this maybe later. So, how are we going to call this new attack? Animation? I would say Blutmagie Raycast or Hitscan. Raycast or Hitscan. This is the hardest part in programming, calling names, naming your variables. Let's see. I would say it's a hit scan attack. Und okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now I've been looking up what going to happen after this, all of this. Not nice. Really. Then it's waiting for 0.25 seconds. Then it's going to look up the same things. Is one of these skills ready? And then here in these lines of code, this is where we have to change our new, put in our new attack, going to set up the attack. However, problem did not think about before. It's waiting 0.25 seconds, then going to check what kind of attack we have ready. The first problem is we could be dead. Not checking if we are dead. Which is easy, just add an if statement. Then there could be a rare case where one of these booleans is actually true. But it wasn't before. So we have to set up for these 0.25 seconds what kind of attack will it be, because we can't have playing one of these animations then shoot out a completely different attack. This is what I was happening here. This is what I was happening here. This is not a good case. So I think this is another example for why you should do this as a switch case. Not good. Not good at all. So first we have check for the type. For type 1, which is a charge attack, we have here some code which we are going to skip. But else, if it's not the charge attack, we have to check again if we are dead. Yeah? And only then we want to actually do something after. After we used our attack. Okay. This is all the code we need. And then second. These conditions here, we always want to do this. Don't know about this one though. I think this is specifically just about when we do our standard attack. We always want to set this to false, even if we are dead. Because if we are dead, there's another input block which does not interfere with this, so it doesn't matter if we are dead or not. Can set this to false. Okay, and now we are going to introduce a new variable, which is going to determine which kind of attack we have initialized. So you see there's a lot of cases here which are going to determine which kind of attack is going to be displayed. We are immediately starting to show your animation. Yeah, your animation is actually displayed immediately. And then after a short delay, because we are casting a magic, your attack is instantiated and shot. So this is already very hard sometimes to aim your attacks. On the other side, since we have an aim assist, the aim assist helps a lot with just staying on target. If you activate your attack, there's a function here that tells your player to start scanning, and if you lock on the target for these 0.5 seconds, you will still aim on the target, which is very nice if you want actually if you have trouble aiming. And you can turn this off in the options too. So if you don't want this, you don't want an aim assist, just turn it off. So let's introduce this new variable. And actually could be an enum. We could do it like this integer tag type, set it to 0, and then later have a switch case where we read out this tag type. I think it would be a little bit overkill to introduce an enum here. An enum, it would be a data structure where we can force to use certain names, then check these. I think might be a little bit over top. Let's do it. I think it's still better than to use an integer. I thought about maybe using just a string, but you know, doesn't hurt to use an enum here. It doesn't hurt. So I think it's private void enum. My enum. Okay. Not void, I think. Yeah, okay. It says cannot be private. Work. Okay. So we want to name this correctly. This is going to be the kind of blood magic attack. Blood big, yeah, blood magic type. Okay. And there's going to be skill 0. Choice 1. I will not come up with fancy names now. Just 2. Skill 2. Skill and something doesn't like this. Oh yes. A 2 here. We are ready to go. Okay, let's look up the fire function again and see if we have defined every possible health. So, skill 2, skill 8, skill 0. I think there was a case for skill 13. Don't see it. I don't see it. Okay, I think skill 13 is not handled in this function. Yeah, not handled right here. So we're finished with this part. Okay, let's define this variable. Blood magic type. Blood magic type. Okay. So we are going to first initialize this variable inside of the type this function. So we are going to use skill 2 choice 1. Just set it to the touch magic type. You can read this out later and it will be very clear in the code what we are going to do. It will be very clear in the code. The problem if you would do this as an integer, you would have to go back in the code, back and forth in the code, and to look up what each integer does. For this integer would 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you could write it in some kind of comment, but it would still be a little bit annoying just to every time go back and forth just to read what this blood magic time actually is. So we now have set up this variable, and now I have to look up what this does. What does this do? Oh, this is an empowerment power skill. This is our empowerment. We can empower our blood magic with a special skill, and if it's empowered, then the sound that is played will change just to feel epic or something. I'm a little bit confused that it's only playing in this. situation. Okay, I see. Yeah, these, because in every other case it has a different kind of charge sound. So that's a little bad, because it means if every blood magic type has a different charge sound, I'm going to have to write this out down. We have to come up with a new sound effect when we charge this attack. So yeah. This will be fun, but let's do this later. Okay, now we might change these lines of code later, because as I said, I want to have an immediate hit scan and a hit scan later that is going to play. So if not that, then we want to have a switch case now. Switch, and it immediately sees that it wants to be the blood magic type. So he now says it might not be initialized, because we are going through all these if-else statements. But yeah, it might be that if it's not type 0 or something, that it's not initialized. Now we know that it's never going to happen that this type is not initialized. Okay, I cannot set this to null. So what are you going to do? Not just simply set it to null. Let's look up our options here. Initialize blood magic type, okay. He just sets this up to default skill choice 01, which I'm not really liking. I'm not really a fan of this. But we have to initialize this variable. I think there's maybe a nicer, cleaner way to do this. Like to good question. How can we? Is there a nicer way to do this? Because this could trigger some kind of weird exception to have this skill to be initialized if we later do a mistake in our code. And developers as coders, we always do mistakes all the time. It could be that the player is going to initialize the wrong kind of attack. That's why I don't like this. But on the flip side, if I would define a new enum, this enum would be not initialized. What are we going to do? The blood magic type suddenly is not initialized. We could throw an exception, which is going to crash our game. Now, in every business application, you would actually not business application, but in a lot of kind of application, you want your game, your application then to crash and display an error. But in our in our case, we don't want our game to crash. So it's maybe better to have just to initialize the wrong skill if your initialization fails, than to have your game crash. So let's keep it this way. And I think about it, let's keep it this way. And then we now need to write our cases. First case is going to be first one. So oh, I now remember why it is an if else statement on top here. This is right, actually. I only want one of these lines of code to play out, and there's a hierarchy of skills. If this is ready, skill 8 and skill 2 is ready, only skill 2 should be initialized. So this is why this is some kind of hierarchy. And this is why the if else statements there make kind of sense. I think you can still do it with a switch case, might be a little bit nicer. But now we have this function here, and then use nicer code in this part at least. So we have 0, 1. Actually, I want to keep it in the original order. Want to keep this in the original order. Have to fix this name problem later. It's not a big problem. This will be easy to fix. Just give it a new name. I think I did the wrong code. This is the right code. Hey. Now we're going to add to our final function that we want to use. This one. And delete if else clauses. Pieces. Okay, and this will be our final option that we are going to define now. Interesting. I'm not really sure what this is going to accomplish. This looks a little bit obsolete to me. So the only problem we have now is that this game object, Blood Magic projectile, was used in every if-else statement, but in the switch case statements, it does not want us to use the same name. At least not if we use if we introduce the variable each time. So how are we going to fix this? This is pretty easy. Just copy this game object. Don't initialize it. Going to need it. Front of the switch case. And then delete the new definitions. This as a game object. It's fixed because it does not want to. The code does not want us to use the same variable and initialize it over and over again. It wants us to use a different name for different variables. It was thinking that it might use the same variables in different cases. A bit odd, I think, but okay. So, we have this skill 0, choice 2 now in our code. And instead of instantiating a projectile, we actually want to do a Raycast. Let's start with some pseudocode right now. First of all, I don't know what this does. This sets up the animation speed of the animation we do, and I don't know if this is actually needed. And let's first save this and just look what happens when we cast this ability. The code still works. This is maybe the first thing we want to do. Check if we have broken the code somewhere, which is with obviously the changes that we did still possible. And we're going to use skill 0, choice 1. So this is the old default skill. Should still be working. Yep. Okay, that looked pretty good. Like, we did so many changes and did nothing. This is how coding works. So, okay, now we can start with the real with the real project and start to write some pseudocode. So, we don't want these old lines of code. What we want to do is, in this case, we want to call a function which does a raycast and damages an enemy if he is hit. Yes. And why do we want this to be a function? It's because then wait for a small delay and call the function again. Now, since we call this function twice, we want it to be an extra method. I think it. What do we have here? Aiming. Stop aiming. Dash aiming. Initialize blood magic skills. the empowerment. I want to define this here. So private void. What are we going to call this function? Again, blood magic. I want to call this Hitscan blood magic. This is going to be a function. It's not going to wait. Not going to wait. Okay, but let's just write some pseudocode what this does. First, instantiate cast effect at the hand, the player character. Yeah? We want our attack to be a cast, and when we cast, we want to play that we do an attack and have an effect that pops up out of your hand to show that you do an attack. And then we have to decide. This is actually something I haven't talked about too much. How we display the way. How do we display the way? There's two kinds of possibilities we have here. First is to have really to display a beam. Which would be maybe nice. I also think because the attack is instant, it could be misleading to have it to be a beam. Second would be flash. I think a flash would be a good idea, like a Civ flash. Not a Civ flash, because it's not an area of attack. It's just one kind of flash. Okay, display a flash, like a wet flash that shows you what you actually did hit. Or second option we have is like in Hitscan. Now how is it displayed in Hitscan? We'll show you. See how it is displayed. The way just to have some kind of sprites or particle effects. I think this might be good with particle effects. I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure if we would do a particle effect, but yes, it would be better to have this be a particle effect. And because you can edit it way easier than if you do a sprite sheet and do an animation there and there, but you cannot change it easily again later. If we would do this and have every sprite and just change the alpha channels so that they fade out, or change the size of every sprite, then it would be nice, it would work. But if we would decide later that we don't want to do this way, that it looks stupid, and modify it, then we would have to recode everything. And this is why I think in this case particle effects are way better. So display a flash, or instantiate particle effect along the beam, along the way. Okay. And before that, it doesn't really matter. When we do, oh yes, it does matter. Sorry, it does matter that before we display this effect, we have to check what we actually hit. Check what we hit. So if hit enemy hit, we want to damage the enemy. Damage the enemy. If object is hit, need to damage the object. If terrain is hit, really nothing happens. Nothing. Just have the hit effect save. That's not going to happen much. We will maybe display a hit effect, but maybe not. Could also be an hit effect if we miss our attack. Is going to distract the player and think, and he's going to hear, oh, I hit something. But yeah, good job, you hit nothing. Like, this is maybe going to confuse the player. Like, he may feel like he hit an enemy, but in reality he did hit the terrain underneath him, or he missed his aiming. So maybe we don't want to do anything if terrain is hit. We just want to save the endpoint. Save endpoint. Yeah. It's a little bit more clear. We widen this. If nothing is hit, if we will have a range, not a big range. Nothing is hit. Pretty much do nothing. Just the endpoint will be the end of your range. Then we will display our way. It's going to be a flash or particle effects along the way. Along the way. And the way. Yay. And then we want to show our effect that you did an attack. We want to show a flash or particle effect every time, even if you did not hit anything. So you actually see that you did an attack. Even if you miss, it would be confusing if you wouldn't see an attack come out. It might look like, okay, this attack is bugged and doesn't do anything just because you missed the attack. So and we want to display a hit or miss effect. Yeah, and the miss effect is going to need a sound. The hit effect is going to need a sound, and the miss effect sound needs to be thought of very clearly so that the player knows that he has missed or hit. Okay. So Now, I've lied about one thing. That is, I've forgotten one thing. That is, every other attack that we did has some kind of synchronization with skills. There's special skills which are going to empower your attack. This is going to be this. We need to pass aim object. Let's think about this for a moment. We could cut this. Make a new game object with a new script. When we do our attack, we're going to display an attack effect anyway. Here. We are going to display an effect in your hand anyway. So this effect could hold a script, and we could then give the script the same treatment that we give all our other magic skills to initialize all its empowerments. Because what this does, this blood magic functions here, this serves us this is holding information how much damage do we do, how much damage do we do, and how much are we going to enhance this. Additional damage is going to be saved. We have this function that we want to call our new attack. I think the code makes it clear that we should actually add this code and put it into a new game object, because it makes a lot of sense. Also, if you do this attack, you don't want it to be a child of your player character. You don't want your way, if you cast away attack, to be moved with the character. And now I have decided against the flash. It's not going to be a flash. I think flash is very, very cool. You do a small flash effect like zap an enemy. It might be cool. I think in this case, the problem with the flash is it needs to stay attached to both endpoints. And since we do 2 attacks in a row, you will see the first flash and need to aim the second flash immediately. These 2 flashes are going to come out very fast, so you actually don't have much time to read your information. And if you display a flash, it's going to make it much harder to read where you're aiming at, because the flash effect is going to be displayed, and it's exactly at the path that you need to aim your second attack along this path. Then you can't read what's along the way. We are going to initiate particle effects along the way. Yeah. Because these particle effects, they're going to be initialized but and disappear. But they are not going to obfuscate what you are aiming at. If done right. So, well, where do we start? We need to make a new game object. I'm going to check our functions here again. Okay, the only thing that is missing is this delay, 0.25 seconds. If you do a way attack, we want to do it immediately or next to immediately. So, if type 0, you don't want to do this if the blood magic type is skill 0, choice 2. So, if not blood magic type, call this equal to oops. Then we don't want wait. So if the blood magic type is not skill 0, choice 2, then we are going to do everything as we did before. But if it is skill 0, choice 2, we are going to immediately do the first hit attack. It's going to be an immediately Raycast attack. Then we want to wait for wait for seconds in the two Raycast and call this and instantiate the our attack. Now, what we are going to change here, we are not going to use this standard bullet. The bullet is not going to be used. We want to hit cast blood magic. We want to introduce an variable. It's going to be a public game object. We can set up in the inspect for later. Okay. And then all we want to do is instantiate this blood magic, initialize all our additional damage from other skills that are possible. There's for example possibility that we bite an enemy and then there's an empowerment that's going to happen. There's also another skill that's just straight up empowers every cast you do. We ready some tea. It's very important. And then we actually want to wait in this with this game object that we are going to initialize and call attack from the script in the script. Start attack. Okay. And I think this will be a function. So when we're doing the same thing twice, it will be a function. Okay. Now let's introduce a new script. This script is going to hold our attack function. Going to initialize the particle effects. It's going to be on a game object, which is going to be played at the location where your hand is when you start your attack. So first, let's see where we put the script. And I would say, look at our assets, and then our units. There's the player, and here are all the player scripts. And we see that the attacks are all named Blood Magic or Blutmagie. Blutmagie is just German. We are going to use this naming convention that we completely made up. But if you start to use a scheme, follow that scheme to the end. Very important. Even if your scheme is idiotic and nobody uses it, it should be idiotic. Maybe then you shouldn't use it. But if it has some kind of logic or sense or something that people can understand later, then you should follow it through. But people are not, and you yourself are not confused later when you're trying to find your scripts. I'm going to name it Blood Magic Hitscan. Yeah. This is going to be a Hitscan attack. Actually, will change my music the next time. I'm not convinced that this is good coding music actually. But whatever. So, this Blood Magic Hitscan. We're going to look at another Blood Magic and just straight up copy all the code. Just straight up copy all the code. We don't need this. We still just want to copy all the code from this. And look, what did we do actually the other times that we used that magic? Because they all have to follow through certain schemes. And what we see, there's a death effect, there's a lifetime. This our new effect, our Hitscan, is not going to have a lifetime. It's going to be instant. It's not going to have a rigid body, not going to time out or fly back or something, but it's going to have blood magic function. I'm not going to have a list of hit enemies. Start time, no. It's going to be immediately. Could maybe use the start time for destroy. Sorry. But I think we want to destroy ourselves with the particle effect. Yeah, particle effect is going to play. Going to be like a whoosh, and that it's not. It cannot be a long effect. and a small explosion forward, yeah, fast. And I don't really know, because we do 2 attacks. It's directly after another. This has to be a really fast animation. So we don't need to look at our sprite. We don't have to look at our animation. Could use a light. I think this is a good idea to use a light. Goody light. This is why we are going to import this. Def animation duration. Okay. It's also a good idea to dim the light very fast. Display a light and dim it. A very good idea. This is why we also need a start time. Okay, what was our start time? Float. The start time. Start time. Okay. Now we are going to look at our start function. Our start function is not what we need. Want to a wake function which is going to be called before immediately if we instantiate this object. We don't need a rigid body. We don't need to find a sprite. We do, however, want to read the light intensity. Going to attach it to the light. And we don't want to call the launch function. This is something we do want to do from the layer script. We don't want to use a delay and die function. So, not going to. Oh, are we going to set a rotation? Yes. We're going to set a rotation according to the direction which we are going to look at. We want to have a whoosh out of our hand into the direction which the ray is being cast, to show the player what he's actually doing. There's a function to damage enemies. Keep this. Going to I'm going to use this later. Okay, now what do we have here? Death. My numerator. And we don't have a death animation. Don't have a circle collider. We don't have a death effect. Don't want to display death effect. But what we want to display is particle effects for the ray particles. Ray particle, and we want to display hit effect and hit effect, bliss effect. This is the 3 game objects that we are going to need. We want to show a different effect if we are according if we hit or miss. There's a terrain it. But we can now copy our spider code, put it into the launch function. And in this launch function, have direction. Interesting. Is already set in the blood magic functions. We are not going to bounce. This was from the boomerang. We don't have a velocity. We don't have on trigger enter. We might need these checks for our Raycast. This is a check for damage. Not copy it and put it into damage enemies. It doesn't matter that 90% of these variables are wet right now. Really doesn't matter. Just need to set up the structure first and worry about this later. We are not rotating our sprite. What are we going to do in our update function? We are going to set the light intensity of our 2D light. I'm not going to bounce damage our update function. That's done immediately. There's no death animation. So we need to set up this death animation duration according to the duration of our particle effect, because we are going to die with the particle effect. What is this death function doing? We're going to die with the particle effect. And this will be attached to a game object with a particle effect. The particle effect will display. And at the end of the particle effect, the particle will be set to destroy. And if the particle effect is finished with playing, it will destroy itself along with the script. We don't need this script to call some kind of death function, because it's already taken care of with the particle effect. So the last thing that we have to think about is this 2D light. You want to use a 2D light, attach it to the script, to the game object, and we want this light to dim out very fast. This is actually a really nice function here, a really nice mathematic function. It's going to take the start light intensity and just multiply it with 1 minus the time that has passed, divided by the total death animation duration. So the only thing that we have to worry about is setting up the right death animation duration. And how we are going to do this is if we have a particle effect, we can maybe read this out. Let's just try it. And first we can set up this death animation start time. This is going to be the time. And the death animation duration is in the particle system. Now we have in the particle system and maybe access the duration of this particle system. So let's try it. Where is the duration of this particle system? Total time. Let's look for time. Playback position. Total, no. Lifetime by emitter speed. This doesn't look nice. Okay, nothing of these times. You see there's some modules that we can recall here. Nothing of these modules are going to help us in any way. So I think this is in the main module. The duration of the particle system in seconds. I'm not quite sure if this is the past duration or the total duration in which is it going to live. Going to look for start lifetime? No. Is unscale time? No. Look at durations. Okay. I think this is the duration. I think we need to read the duration. Don't need to set up the def animation duration then. And what is this? Not going to use start time. Lifetime. Okay. So we have set up everything right here in the wake function. Now, in the launch, we're going to do a lot of useful things here. And we have a damage function. Okay, let's set up the damage function first. Damage function is going to evaluate if we have hit an object or an enemy. And the mistake that I did here is I used a boomerang function as its basis, which is not very good because actually don't want the to evaluate the way the base function does it. Base function was a boomerang that would go through every enemy, every object, come back, and damage every enemy along the path. And in our case, this is exactly the wrong thing that we need right here. I'm going to copy our code from somewhere else. And so write these in uppercase. Okay. Now, don't need this. Now let's compile. I think there's an error somewhere. Can it compile? Okay, there's nothing wet here. Really? Yeah, it should compile. Okay, I want to change one thing though. This script. Then we are pretty much finished already in the player character. Want to call this function here 2 times. Instead of this code. Because we are going to basically do the same thing twice. So we are going to do the same thing twice. Put this code inside of a function and you don't have to worry about forgetting something later. when you going to edit the code. So going to be a game object. Then we want to use this .magic projectile and call function from the script. So we want to get the component Hitscan. Want to call the script Hitscan script that we just defined and call the launch function. Okay. The launch function might be not public yet. My bad. I want to make this function public. And why do we do this? Why don't we immediately call the launch function? Okay, what's up? Why are you wet? Yes, I'm in called equivalent by new we used statement. I don't understand what you want from me. Oh, I see. I forgot some brackets. Yeah. Now, let's see in the initialize blood magic skills if the direction is given, which we want to display our way. Oh, let's take a look. What is going to be the direction? Yes, this is very good. So we don't need to worry about the direction, because in this nice function here, I call very nice because it's actually doing a lot of work for us that we don't have to think about, right? It's going to set the direction already in which the way is going to attack. So later, when we have this, all these functions, and we can assume that the direction here in these blood magic functions is exactly the direction in which we want to cast the way. And the way is going to have a range. We already have the direction. We only have to now look at what we want to do to our enemies and do our calculations to damage them or to damage an object. As you see this crate, you can destroy this crate. So I think the bite does not damage. Need to find an attack which does normal damage. Oh. Standard with the T that hurts. I want to look up into this standard. Is it really with a T? In English? Come on, don't translate it with default. Trying to translate standard. Look up if it's maybe in English with a T. No, it's with the D. That sucks. Okay, let's correct this. because I can't. I just can't stand having such a stupid mistake in the name of the function. Script, it is correct. Yeah, correct. It's the name already. Good. Okay. What we actually care about is just these function here. We want all these three functions. Because what I didn't see is that in the blood magic functions, there's a hit or miss boolean that we want to set. So damage enemies going to be renamed. Do damage. I think this is not very creative, but whatever. Game object target. So we have a target. If you have hit anything, going to have a target which you're going to pass to this do damage function, then we want to compare the tag target. Is this an enemy? And we don't need to check if we have already hit something. Then if the enemy is not invulnerable, don't need to. Okay, maybe we want to record this as a miss then. Okay, this is okay. We want to import the enemy stats script, however. Not important. Then we want to do our damage. Damage is inside of our blood magic functions, where we can publicly and easily change them from the editor. We're done. We don't want a def function. The def function is done by our particle system. Then we want to check if we have hit, if is the target an object. And if so, we kill it. This is a little bit weird. It's a code. I think the object stats don't have a good solving function for hits. A little bit unfortunately right now if I look at this. And the last thing that we want to do is want to handle if we hit the ground, something invulnerable. Okay, I'm not sure what this could be, but maybe it's for some kind of scene or something, where there's something set invulnerable. I'm pretty sure that this is not a joke. We need to keep this. Pretty sure that there is some kind of case where this is important. So now we need to find our target. Pretty much what we have to do is just follow up the pseudocode that we have written here. This is going to be pretty easily done. We are not going to instantiate a cast effect. We are the cast effect. This is going to be on the cast effect. And check what we hit. Okay, to do this, we need to do a Raycast 2D. Yeah, and yeah, let's look up later what this returns. We are going to oh damn, I don't know how to do this. Okay, we're going to cast away, but how? I know a function which uses a Raycast. I can just copy the code, which function do I mean? Get this function in the player game visualization. Yeah, game visualization. The scan. The scan here uses a Raycast. See what we hit. This is exactly what we need. Just copy this code. We don't have to learn again how to do a Raycast. Just copy this code and let's see what we want to do. So, a bunch of things are wet. The origin of our Raycast is this effect. The direction is saved in the blood measuring functions. Hey, a lot of work done already. The distance. So how much distance how long should this function be? And I'm going to look up the other projectile, the standard projectile, and see how much distance this can travel. Please don't be a timer. Please don't be a timer. When is the def function called if nothing is hit? Please don't be a timer. Oh no, it's a timer. No, oh no, what have we done? This is not good. It's a timer. Yeah. It's going to set up a timer, and when this timer has passed, it's going to die. Not good. This is not useful for us because now we don't know how far this travels. I don't know the range. So, I guess we have to guess. Distance. I think the standard magic does not go very far. I think it might be 8. It might be 8. Need to check this later. Let's actually make it the public float. Public float range. Yeah. So, as I say, I'm guessing right now. I have no idea how far this should travel. Maybe I will find out 8 is not enough. That it feels clunky. So have it a public variable, and you can change it whenever you want and adjust according to what we need. Then if we hit anything, we are going to call our do damage function. Or do we? We don't want to do damage to the ground, that is for sure. Let's just pass it to the hit collider. Is this game object? That's not. Is this game object? Save the endpoint. Okay. Game object transform. Now vector 2 need to save the endpoint. I think we only need the coordinates for this. We don't only need the position. So let's save the endpoint as coordinates. Vector 3 endpoint is going to be position of the hit collider. Okay. So I'm going to define it here. And this endpoint going to be hit game object. Oh, transform position. No, it's not. It's. What is it? Oh, damn. It's going to be a collider. No, we need to get the contact point. We need to get the contact. Because if we do this, and might be okay on an enemy to display a normal hit effect, but if we do this on the ground and you hit the tile set, you hit the whole map, and then this would display hit effect in the end, the middle of the map every time. It would display at the same position. So we need to display this not at the game object. We need to find the contact point. Do we have? Oh, get contacts. I don't like. Because this function get contacts is a little bit hard to get. Need to find how we use this function. Get contacts. I used this get contacts in some other functions. Get contact? No. Now I have to search for the functions where I use this. Which is not impossible. Remember which one was it? Yeah. This is how you have to get these contacts. I think this function is a little bit weird. It just doesn't feel like nice point. Nice code. Me. Because what we actually do is we define a contact point. Then we have to call this function, and the point will be saved inside of this contact point, and then we can get the endpoint. As I said, it's a little bit weird. Do it this way. Normally I would maybe just I would like if it would just have a function like get contact 0 and then just save the point. Whatever, we can set this up immediately. No, we cannot. Because if we did not hit anything, it did not hit anything else. So if the hit collider is null, if it did not hit anything, then the endpoint going to be transform position. Times our direction. No, plus the direction which we cast times range. In the error. Not add these two because they are different types of. No, it's not what we want. There are different types of vectors. I think this is a vector 2. This is vector 3. Try to make this a vector 3. Okay, works. Have to make sure that the direction is normalized. Oh, now we have an endpoint. We have an endpoint. And we want to instantiate hit or miss effect at this endpoint. So if we will have at this point saved, if we did hit and if we did miss, instantiate, we have an hit effect. We want to instantiate it at the endpoint and give it a standard rotation. Else, if we did miss, then we want to instantiate the miss effect. And that's pretty much it. Now, the only part that is missing is display instantiate particle effects along the way. Okay, now we have the start point. The start point is our transform position. We have the end point. Now we have to decide how big is the gap between each particle effect to the end point, which are going to be displayed. And this is an artistic choice. So we are going to introduce new public variable. Ray particles distance. I think this is a good name. We are going. So what are we going to do? We have a start point, an end point. We want to display for each time in the we want to go into the direction that we are casting for ray particles distance range. Each time we want to instantiate a particle effect. Okay. We have two ways to do this. We could now write a recursive function which is going to check go into the direction, display effect, go into the direction, display effect, and check every time if it has surpassed the endpoint. I'm against recursive functions at all. Recursive functions can break, and if anything goes wrong with the recursive function, it's going to crash the whole application. This is why recursive functions have to be avoided at every cost. And we can avoid recursive function in this case, because we can just divide the distance between the start and end point and know how many times we have to instantiate the particle effects. So let's do this. So no, not going to be for each. Going to be something like this. For integer 0, we need a new variable, total particle effects, which we don't have right now. This new integer, total particle effects, is going to be the distance vector 2 dot distance between start and end point. Start point is our transform position, end point divided by distance. Then we have to convert this into an integer. Right now, this is going to be some kind of a to b divided by b is going to be a real number, but it's not going to be natural number. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, going to be 1.50 9, 6, 7, 8. We want to round down. Want to round this down. I don't know which math to use. Round. Looking into math f round. You're going round to int. Looks a little bit nicer. F round to nearest int. Yeah. So the only problem is round to int is going user. Only problem we have now is this is going to be rounded up. Let's look at this function, what this does. Let's look up this function. Need to find out what this function does. So, will it round up? Will it round down? Let's see. It will round up. Yeah, Prince 11 with 10.7. Can we switch the mode? No. No. No overload function means and does this have an overload? No. This means we can't use this function. This function does not do what we need. Because we want to round down in this case. We want to round down in every case. This function does not provide us with this ability to round down. We need to look up the normal round in C#. Math round method. So, does this method do midpoint? We can define define how this function works. We now have to take a little bit of time to read how we can define how this rounded. Okay, can define the mode. We have to look what these modes do. There's 5 modes. To look at what this regards are. I think we need to 0. Let's just try it out. So let's use math round. Change this bracket error. Yeah, this bracket error. No, it's not. Really not. Yeah, we have to convert this later. And we want to use the mode to 0. Wait, it isn't displayed weirdly. Could be a mode to 0. It doesn't know. Can't solve. That's bad. Okay. We don't want to use away from 0, so we use to even. And to look what the middle number here means, this one. Okay. Want this. Okay. It's to cast to an integer. Okay, I think what this does now, and I hope hopefully we won't right. It takes the distance between the start point and the end point. Divides it by the particle distance. We have this will be some kind of float real number with the dot. We will round this at this 0 decimal to even. 0 decimal means we're going to get a natural number and cast this to an integer. And then we have our how many times do we display our total particle effects. So we're going to instantiate alongside of the point from start to end. First, introduce a new variable. New. Next. Particle position. And this is going to be transform position. Our start position plus the wave particle distance times I. And we have to cast this to vector 2, I guess. Oh, this is 2. Oh. Oh, I see. This has to be into direction. The direction is not here. Plus direction times. Okay, now it cannot add these because this is not a vector 2. Now we have to pass this to vector 2 and it will calculate. Then we have to just instantiate. Oh no, we have to start with the particle effect. The wave particle. Instantiate it at the next particle position with our rotation. We want the particle effects to have the same rotation as the origin, because if you have a ray and it's going to be up, particle effects which are going to be some kind of flash, it just pops up and goes away. We want these flashes to have the same rotation as the source, so you see along the path in which way, in which direction did you actually cast. So what this is Repeat is access. Okay, can you please this? Okay. But this variable here should be transform. Oh, transform in. Okay. This variable here is called several times, and we just by reading this only once, we actually do the processor a little favor. It doesn't do much. Just a little bit of optimization here. Okay. Now we finished. This is the whole function. I still have to check if our miss function is right. No. So we have to we only have to check for miss. I'm not quite sure why it sets hit to true here. I think it has something to do with how some functions in other projectile attacks destroy themselves, and they just care about, did I hit something, then they read this value and then they destroy themselves. So I think we don't need the hit function. I'm not quite sure about that because and because of that I'm going to not edit this. Okay, now before we quit, it's getting late, so I have to quit soon, but before that we should set up this script on a game object using every variable, and it's not going to work as we think. Something is going to be wrong, but we can at least set up a game object with all the things that we need right here and set up the script so we have something to work next time and not forget about it. And what I'm afraid to forget about is, for example, this 2D light, to add it to the game object. What are we going to do is we're actually going to copy some particle effects that we already use, because sometimes it's just nice to have things already set up. Sometimes it's not so nice to start at zero. Especially in programming, you have to cut your time. You can't start from zero every time. Let's look up at our resources. Come on. Effects. I'm going to look into effect. No. Now I have to just find out of my head some kind of effect from enemies that could be useful for this. Mage board, this could be useful because this is particle effect, has a sound. Don't need this. It has a light. Okay, I think it's easiest way is if we unpack this unpack completely. Now this prefab does not have has lost its connection to the original prefab. This is now just a normal game object. If I edit this, I will not change anything from the original prefab. So this, how does this particle effect work? Ball glowing. Okay. Then it despawns. Okay. Let's think about this. Do we need 2 particle effects? Would be nice. Okay, I've decided. We will have some more time next time. Let's just have this maybe have a very short duration of 0.25 seconds. It did not destroy itself. Why? Because the lifetime is long. Okay. And also this inner. I think this duration doesn't matter because it's not looping. Emission 1.5. Okay. Oh, this looks like a nice effect. And it also has a light. I want this light to be red. And now this light is going to be child of the original. I have to look at. There's something fancy attached? No. There's some lighting effects. Yeah. So this script here is just for the options, because lights can cost your system resources a lot of trouble. This is why there's an option to disable them. Okay. Then we have a sound. Don't have time today to change this sound. What we can do is remove these 3 components. We don't need this. So, Hitscan. There's our script. We have now defined our script here, and still have so many things to set up. The distance between each particle, let's set this to 1. So at full range we will display 8 particle effects. Okay, now this is our mage ball. Now we will make some prefabs for hit and miss effects. And what was the third thing? The wave particle, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Do we have some hidden dab? These are miss effects. Effects. F effects. This is from the boomerang. No, it's not what I want. Be a nice idea. Don't know. I don't know. Actually, I just want a big flash to pop up when you at the point where you hit. Don't want these kind of effects. They make sense for a projectile attack, but not for a ray attack. These are all not pretty much helpful. This is just a sound. Okay, there's some empowerments which we have to do later. So I wanted to do. Instantiate then wait empowered skill effects. Now, I think this is a little bit more obvious that we have a to do right here. I think the color of the to do is a little bit distracting. Like, this is the same color as these variables, which is not actually very good. So, just something more to just point at this to do, because this is very easy to overlook. So makes it as annoying as it could be. Because I have to read this tomorrow, not forget about it. Hit, miss, and wave particles. We need these. Okay. I'm actually going to make new prefabs game object. Oh. Blood magic. Ray hit effect. This is going to be the base for other effects. Now we see this effect is emitting white squares because it does not have a proper material setup. I think this is a default material. Okay. Now let's just pick a nice placeholder first. Oh, metal sparks. Oh, some whole sprite sheet. Lightning. These materials are not very helpful though. I'm just going to use some kind of placeholder for now. I think I might later use a texture sheet animation for this. I'm not using a shape. And I only want to emit one as a burst from the start. So make this 1. Yeah. We are looping right now. I'll make this to 1. Don't want to use gravity. Where's gravity? Here we don't use my gravity. I think it has a start speed. Yeah. Don't want to have speed. We want to have a very short lifetime of 0.5. Yeah. And we want to the size of a lifetime. Size should just ramp up to the middle. Peak at the middle and die. And we want this to be painted red. Okay. This is our placeholder effect. And actually, I don't think we want to start at 0. To be a little bit darker. Yeah, like blood. And we're pretty much done. This is our ray effect. We want to play a sound. I'm just going to copy this sound though. Yeah. Going to be a 3D sound. Copy these. And with a component. This component as new. Okay. Its sound is going to display something. Hit. Do we have a good hit? No. No, it sounds terrible. Sounds terrible. Yeah, it was nice, but yeah, a nice smack. Okay. Oof. Let's just set up a sound. Oh, this is a little bit. It would be a little bit annoying. This sounds like a good mist sound actually. We have our placeholder sound, and if we hit, if we hit, we also want to have a point light attached to it. Wait, let's look if we can set up a light inside of the renderer. It wants to have a preset light, which I don't have right now. So let's not do this. not attach a like to it. Maybe later look up what this option in the particle render does, then set it up. Then we want to have a miss effect. Miss effect is going to be a little bit different, and we want to, it's a placeholder, we just want it to be visible. And display another a different sound. Yeah, we want this as a miss sound. Okay. The last thing that we want to have is our blood magic gray particle. Okay. This will not display sound. This will simply be same as the other particles, and will be a little bit smaller, like size 0.4. Yeah, this is smaller, and we will have to come up with a sprite for this. This sprite is not going to be the final effect. This will be for another time, work for another time, not today. It's way too late to do this, but for next time we are going to set up the sprite. Sprite will change definitely. Definitely. It's nice to have this as a loop. We're not going to use a loop for the final effect. Okay, now projectiles. We can make some prefabs. Out of this, we can delete all those game objects because we have now made prefabs and set up these particles. Hitscan? How did we name them? Way? Yeah. Way hit. Way particle. Way hit and way miss. Okay. Now we have set up the prefabs. Now we can look at the player. The player also needs to have this prefab. Yep. It cast blood magic. Oh, this name. It's horrible. Hit cast. Hitscan. Please. Need to rename this. Hit cast. Again. Okay. And we have I've forgotten to set up name. Oh, embarrassing. blood magic, Hitscan, or it didn't register that I wanted to. And sometimes if you when you name these game object, you don't specifically play enter, it does not save your new name. Maybe this was such a case. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. So set up this Hitscan. Now there should be a whole lot of bugs. Don't expect this to work the first time I play. Let's look at the code. Looks fine. The only thing that should bug out a little bit is we don't have set up this animation right here. This animation is missing. Everything else should be fine. So let's look. And I don't think we need to play a sound right here, because we can just use a sound that we are going to play when we attack and spawn the attack, because the attack has a sound attached to it, so we don't need another sound attached to the character. Character does not need to specifically code the kind of sound it plays. Okay. Hit play and just look if it immediately displays some kind of error. Okay. Fine to me. And now I want to have skill choice 2 from the start. Just look what this does. Now I expect game to quiz. I should save before I do this. Okay. It was fast. Okay. Null exception. What happened? Game object is null. Okay. When was this called? Yeah. Null. Yeah. We have forgotten to add the script to the attack. This attack needs to have a script attached. Just named the blood magic function. Yeah. Okay. We don't need a speed. We only need attack damage. Additional damage. Oh. It has different hit effects. We can drag and drop inside of this. Okay. Very interesting. And is it oh. there's some kind of dev functions which are going to which we should call later in this Hitscan attack. Okay. This needs to be done. Not today. Call e functions. Not dev functions. Because this is going to be important. We will have next time to define special effects for certain skills. If you empower your skill, it is going to be displayed. Okay. Here we go again. Okay, I see a bunch of problems. It was nice, but it did too much damage. Yeah. Okay. I think the first problem is we don't see any effects. We don't see them because of a simple mistake. The render. These hit effect, miss effect, and particle effect. Can we edit them simultaneously? Yes, we can. Okay, very good, because this was a simple mistake. The sorting layer has to be hit effects. Yeah, and I want actually the ray particle, which is going to be displayed along the way, to be the unit layer very far in the back. Very far in the back, because this is not so important. Okay, save and play. Nice. Okay, this is absolutely amazing that it's already working. Not working on ground though. So it's passing through the ground. Can I hit you through the ground? A little bit hard to tell. Okay, I cannot hit you through the ground. And also, you see, there's a blue light right now. This blue light is because appearing. Blue light is because the light intensity is set up wrong. See, if I do this, now we have a blue effect right here, which is looking very ugly. This is because the light sounds here. Ooh, this does not look good. These have to... The stop action has to be set to destroy. This is why we have way too many effects right here. This has a... M to change. And here in this, you can see the intensity is a negative value. If the intensity it's a negative value. Yes, we can't see this with this camera. So yeah. I can't show it. Won't let me set this to -5 or something. But the thing is, the intensity should never be lower than 0. This is a script error, and I'm going to fix this immediately. Never make the intensity lower than 0. Very important. And instead of setting the intensity immediately, we are going to introduce a float. You liked intensity. And it's basically just store this equation. And then check if this is going to be less than 0. And 0. And just so if flag intensity is less than 0, set it to 0. So this will never be a negative value. Yes, this should fix why we see blue light. Next thing that we are going to fix is next thing that we are going to fix is we did shoot through the ground. Not good. First, I have to look up which layers are these layers. The ground actually even considered. So I'm going to look at layers. 11 is ground, 9 is an enemy, 14 are objects, 15 is invulnerable. So 11, actually this should already hit ground. And we are also going to include invulnerable. I think the contact point is not right when we hit the ground. Not good. Was it? Or this function here, where we display the particle effects, could also be that this function is not working as intended. So let's find out. Will be the last thing we do today. Trying to fix these functions, but aside from that, I'm very pleased it's really working. First time we tried out, so put a lot of work into it, and I'm rewarded with code that works nearly the first time we tried out. It's very, very very lucky there. So top action is destroy. And what I also didn't like is this effect. Come on, show yourself. Where are you? There you are. Has to start with this size. It's the size. Come on. There you are. It is the size to start at 1. And then fade out. Yeah, that looks a little bit. Oh, looks fancier. Still don't like the color. Darker. Yeah. And also, what I have forgotten to do is I want this to a fire pause position. I want this to show where the hand is. To start where the hand is up there. But I don't have the exact position right now because I've not set up the animation, so this can stay for now. We'll have to do animation tomorrow. So the spawn position will change. I think the spawn position right now is fair, but I will. Or do we have something for the? Oh, yeah. Never mind this. Let's do this tomorrow because if I set it to the hand, and we don't have the animation right now, it will not display anything. It will just look janky. Okay. First, you can see that the attack goes. Even if I hit, the particles are playing indefinitely. The endpoint is not set right. Look what we have here. Okay, see, this is range. Way too many particles. Okay, this is the endpoint. It's not right. Where's the hit and miss effect? Here. What? The only miss effect? There's a bunch of not destroyed magic effect. Good. But this is the miss effect here. So it's the completely wrong position. Completely wrong. I think. Yeah, that's the middle of the. Yeah. No, that might be the middle of the map. Look at the grid. Look at the grid. Middle. I don't know. It might be the hit is here on the ground. I think what's happening is we hit the ground. And instead of giving back the endpoint as the point where we hit the ground, it's giving the middle of ground, the whole map. This is why you see this miss effect here on the ground. I think it's not at the same height that we would hit. I think this is just the middle of the map. And we see this the way from the full range to the sit effect. We see this particles. I want to see what happens if I shoot in the other direction. Can't see anything. Try again. Okay. Now let's look. Where do we have this? Definitely? No. Where is the miss effect? Oh, it's the same position. Yep. So it's calculating the distance from the player to the middle of the map, and then is placing all these particle effects into this direction. Okay. But aside from this small visual bug, it works perfectly when the endpoint is right. So this function here is called this function perfect works. If this wouldn't work, this would go into some weird place. But this is a range. Shows exactly what we can hit. Okay. So this endpoint here, if we do hit something, contact point is wrong. Oh, this is not where the Raycast hits its target, which is a little bit weird because this says it gets the contact. We read the point out pretty straightforward. This is why I hate functions like this. This is why I hate functions like this. They say that you get the contact and they lie to you. Ah, god damn it. So I have to read out what this hit collider actually is. Need to Unity what is this? Raycast to the hit. Unity Raycast to the hit. Maybe we can fix this immediately. Raycast is used to detect that light along the path of a way, firing a laser beam to the scene. Yeah, exactly what we do. The Raycast to the hit to DE class is used by other functions to return information about the object detected by Raycast. Okay. Centroid. The centroid of the primitive used to perform the cast. No. Collider hit, by the way. Distant function non point. Point in world pace the ray hit the collider's surface. Okay, that's nice. That's actually nice. So we don't need to actually read the collider. We can just use the hit point. Okay, then try this out with this small change. Oh, please don't crash right now. And if this works, we pretty much finished our coding work. This works, pretty much finished the coding work in this huge step, and I actually did not expect this to work today. Okay. Very nice. Not sure if it does a little bit too much damage though. It looked like it did 25 damage 2 times. But this enemy should have more than 25 health. What's going on here? How much health do you have? 5. Okay, fair enough. This put it to just for test. Put it to 500 because I just had the feeling like he's dying too fast. Okay, 50, 100, 200, 300, 400. Nice. Everything is all right. Damage seems to be correct. Oh, sorry, cable issue. Cable issue. Cable issue. Okay. Now, yeah, we have finished everything about this, about the calculation. There was just one thing that was not right, and that is if we hit the ground, if we hit the ground, it did not play the miss sound. And it did not play the miss sound when we hit the ground. Just irritating. Because we're setting miss to 2 when we hit the ground. These two also look correct. Look at the I'm a little bit wrong about the sound effect just. So this is a miss effect. What are you going to play? Yeah. This sound effect was not playing when we missed. So oh yes, this is when this is when we actually hit null. And the collider is null. So when the collider is null, we have to play them. Have to tell him that he missed. Yeah, this was the problem. I was wrong. We did play the right sound when we hit the ground, the miss sound. We did not play the miss sound when we hit nothing. Okay, and this was because we did not set that magic function to miss if we did hit nothing. Now, okay, nothing. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, we have finished our work on this very easy Hitscan. Yeah, what can I say? It looks like the Hitscan might be a little bit too easy right now, so I might change the delay between both attacks. Not much, maybe to 0.35 seconds. Would prefer to be at way lower than 0.5 seconds, because the natural reaction times of a human are around 0.5 seconds. If you're good, and if you're bad, it's about 0.35 seconds. And this is also when most of the effects come into play. If effects are lasting longer than your natural reaction time, it often feels very unnatural. And this is why 0.2, 0.4 are very good numbers as a cap for when your fast effects are playing, because this is where you can realize them, see them, and they dissipate appear and you have good indications for your reactions. Okay, so enough about that. Aside from that, I'm finished for today, and I want to thank everybody who just joined the chat for a few seconds, a few minutes, and looked at this coding project. And hopefully I will see somebody again. And I'm finished for today. I'm very glad that I could code everything that I wanted to. And want to say goodbye. Goodbye.